Welcome to the program, and today we're discussing 7 things that every human being must know by the age of 15. Of course, I'm under no illusion. I'm not deluded. I know very few 15-year-old people will watch this program. But why am I doing this? Why am I doing this video? It is because I know you may have a child who is 15 years, or you may know someone who has a child who's 15 years, or probably in your social groups or in your social quarters, you may have someone who will benefit from this video. Because what I'm about to share with you is not only something that I have observed in my life, it's also something that I do every day for our mentorship programs. And the first thing a 15-year-old should know is that the first 15 years of your life will shape a portion of your life. Actually, if you're not very careful, the first 15 years of your life may shape the rest of your life. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that exactly the way you are today, if you're at the age of 15 or you're almost approaching 15, if there are things that are wrong in your life, if there are things which have gone wrong in your life, if you have some mindset which is defective, if you have some ideologies that have formed, if those ideologies are defective ideologies or they are detrimental ideologies, actually you may be heading for disaster, because that may shape the rest of your life. So what I'm saying is that by the time someone is at the age of 15, they must take stock of the past 15 years and try to do a thorough introspection and say, where am I headed as a person? So now that's when you need guidance. That's when you need to approach mentors. That's when you need to start praying for yourself. And that's when actually, if you're lucky enough to have parents or guardians, that's when you need to approach these people and make sure actually they can guide you and they can help you to navigate some of these things we go through in life, because 15 years, the first 15 years of your life may shape the rest of your life. Number 2, I want every person approaching the age of 15 years, or probably someone at the age of 15 years, because you must know this. You need to understand that, number 2, nobody wants you to succeed more than themselves. No one wants you to be richer than they are. Let me just prove that to you. Even you yourself, if someone is asking you, do you want to serve someone or do you want to be served? Of course, everybody's going to say, I want to be the boss. No one wants to be a subordinate to someone. Nobody wants you to be ahead of them in terms of financial muscles, in terms of social status. Everybody wants to be at the top. And I want you to understand, because as you grow, of course, we know you are still young and you have a lot of gullible ideologies here and there. We know you are shaky, you are impressionable. I want you to understand, no matter what anybody tells you, no one wants you to be ahead of them. No one wants you to be powerful than them. No one wants you to achieve more than they have achieved. So you must be very careful and tread very cautiously when you're dealing with people. Just to make sure that you are dealing with your life, you are building yourself step by step, day by day. Make sure that you're trying to become the best version of yourself and be all you can be. The number 3 thing I want you to understand is that success and power are never given, and you cannot stumble yourself into success or power. Success and power are never given, and you can never stumble into success or into power. These are things which have to be taken, and sometimes they have to be taken by force and violence. Now, when I'm talking about violence, I'm not talking about you picking a knife or picking a gun or trying to bulldoze people over in the streets. No, I'm saying that sometimes you have to be very tough in terms of mental toughness. Your mindset must be very tough so that you can achieve some of these things that we want you to achieve. Success is something that you must work on very hard. It is something that you have to pay the price. You must go in the trenches. You must fight. You must fight day. You must fight night. You must fight people. You must strategize. You must be a shrewd person, because if you want to become successful in this life, like I know you want to, just know success is never given. It is something which has to be taken. And I'm reminded of the words of Jesus when he was saying that the kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent people takes it by force. And that is exactly what I'm telling you. The kingdom, even the kingdom of this world, the success in this world is something that only violent people will take by force. So you must go and be violent when you are reading your books. You have to be tough, because like I said above, no one wants you to be no one wants you to have the upper hand or be powerful than they are. Do everything in your power to make sure that people do not actualize that dream of having you at the point of disadvantage. The number 4 thing you must know is that knowledge is power. power. By the time you're 15, you have to understand that knowledge is power. You need to understand that the more you know, the more powerful you become. It has always been like that. Knowledge is power. Those who know much always have power over the ones who do not know much. Those who know more are always going to be ahead of those who do not know. Number 5. I want every 15-year-old to understand. By the time you are 15 years, you should understand. Money does not end. Money does not vanish or disappear. It doesn't disappear from the planet. It's always there. So what you need to do is to make sure that you focus on your growth. Your priority should be your growth. You have to make sure that you grow right. If you can allow yourself to grow right, everything will fall in place and eventually you will get money. But then you can ask this question. So when you say you must grow right, is there growing right and growing wrong? Yes. And this is how you grow right. So there are three kinds of growth that a human being should have for them actually to grow right, or what we consider growing right. So number 1, you must grow physically. You must make sure that you are in a perfect health, you are in a good health. So it's your responsibility as a human being not to expose yourself, not to put yourself in danger. It is your responsibility as a person to make sure that you feed yourself and to feed yourself right, so that you can grow healthy and stronger physically. Number 2 growth that you must have as a human being, of course, you must grow mentally. You must grow mentally stronger. What does that mean? It means that you have to fit your intellect. It means that you must gather knowledge. We are coming back to that knowledge issue again, because knowledge is power. And if you have no knowledge, if you don't have if you're an intellectual dwarf, it means that you have not grown mentally. You know, you can see sometimes someone has grown, they're like 40, 50 years old, but you see when they start talking, their speech patterns, the way they express themselves, the way they behave, and it's not because they are retarded, but you can see that at some point they stopped growing at the intellectual level. So it is very, very important that all of us must grow intellectually. How do we grow intellectually? Of course, we know that there are schools. You can go to school, you can read books. If you don't have, for example, if you don't have a chance, if you don't have, if you don't have this opportunity of going to school and learning and try to grow academically and intellectually, so that your brain and your intellect can just mature up, there are so many things you can do. You can learn by yourself. You can learn from your friends. You can learn from the internet, especially now that we have the internet space, which with a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge. No one has excuse of not growing their intellectual capacity. So that is the second growth that a person has to have. You must grow intellectually. And then lastly, a person needs to grow spiritually. Spirit, body, and soul. Body means physical. Soul means, of course, your intellectual capacity is how you balance your knowledge and your emotions. But now, spiritually, we are talking about your spirit man. A man is a spirit. There's no way you can dissociate yourself from being spiritual. We are all spiritual. So you must make sure that you feed your spirit. And that's why people go to pray. That's why people do meditation. If you are a Christian, you have to go to church and pray, because the spiritual part of your life is fed by the spiritual realm, by the spiritual realm or the spiritual kingdom. You must make sure that you are closer to your creator, to your maker, who is also a spirit. So the more relationship you have with the spirit, with the Holy Spirit or the spiritual world, the more spiritual you're going to grow. So you must make sure that you balance your physical growth, mental growth, and the spiritual growth. That's what I'm referring to as growing right. Number 6, this is very, very important. Do not speed your life. Do not try to speed up your life, all right? Because we have a tendency, I've seen tendencies of people trying to skip phases of their lives. No, you must allow yourself to deal with every phase of life, because you see, God was not crazy when he tried to divide our phases of growth. So you are a baby, you are a toddler, then you become a pre-puberty, you have puberty, you grow your pimples. You must make sure that you go through all these phases. Grow pimples, struggle with those pimples, go through this explosion of hormones, adolescence, just to go through everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Do not try to skip anything. Just make sure that you try to go through everything and try to enjoy the moment as you go through them. Why? Because every time you attempt to skip phases, this will guarantee that in the future you will pay a heavy price, or probably you may even need to revert the phase that you have skipped, because things are tough and you're no longer able to cope. I've seen men and women who grew up and they probably in their prime when they were in their teens, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20. During that time when people are rebellious and hot-headed, I've seen men and women in their 50s who are trying to go back to get their high school, to get their high school diplomas, to do their GED, to go back to get their first degree. That's not how life is supposed to be. Okay, I understand you may not have an opportunity to go through these things because of difficulty. Some people are refugees. Some people actually don't have the opportunities at all because of poverty, socioeconomic problems, bad leadership, bad governance, and then you find that people have no opportunities to go through these things. So if you skip some of these phases because it's not your wish, because actually the situation was rough or tough in your country or wherever you are, it's understandable. But just to make sure, if this happens, it's not because you are lazy, it's not because you are hot-headed, it's not because you do not listen, it's not because you are rebellious. Go through every phase and try to enjoy every phase as you go through them. Because one pattern I have seen is that when people grow up, actually, when they are older now, at my age, you start asking yourself, oh God, I wish I can go back to being 15. I wish I can go back to being 19. People start now wishing they were the age they played with. Why? Because when they were that age, they never took time to appreciate it. They never took time to enjoy. But let me tell you, every day is a gift and must be enjoyed as such, must be taken as such, appreciated and enjoyed. That's how we must live each and every day. Do not try to speed up your life. Don't try to rush into marriage. Don't try to rush into business. Don't try to rush into anything. Just make sure that you go gradually, slowly, step by step, brick by brick. And then when we get there, I know you could be admiring someone on internet or Instagram or on TV. You're like, oh man, I wish I can be like that person today. But you see, if you look at that person, what they had to go through before they reached where they are today, where they reached that level that you're admiring now, you will be shocked that these people actually have gone through the most and they have paid a lot of price before they can reach to that place where you, right now, you are admiring. So do not attempt to skip any phase. I know I have dwelled so much on that point, but you see, some of these points are very heavy and we must make sure that we emphasize, we lay an emphasis so that you are properly understood and you can understand the gravity. Are we still together? Are we still friends? Can we proceed? Good. Number 7, this one is a no-brainer. By the age of 15, you need to understand that you need to put God first. I know between ages 0 and 12, people really don't have a direction. Yeah, probably your parents take you to church or to the mosque. They try to tell you to pray and everything, and you do not understand. So when you are 15, that's when actually your eyes begin opening. You start forming opinion. You start forming ideas. You can know God for yourself. You can try to discover. You start reading books. You start forming ideas from what you're seeing on internet, from the opinions which are out there. Probably you're reading a book and the people are discussing stuff. So I do understand, but I want you to know God is real and you must put God first. If you have to succeed in your life, if you really want to go far as a human being, you cannot dissociate, you cannot decouple God from humanity. Your humanity is tied to God, to God's divinity. And people usually ask me, when we talk about God, what is this God? Have you ever seen God? Who is this God? We don't even know God exists. But I give a very simple explanation when someone is saying there's no God. My explanation is very simple. You just have to look at your life, okay? When you go to sleep and you are deep in your slumber, right? Deep in your slumber, the force, the energy that wakes you up in the morning, that is what I call God. But let me just give you an example. For some of you guys who are privileged to fly from here to here, when you are in mid-flight in the air, 40,000 feet above the ground, and then the plane is behaving funny, and then the pilot starts making announcement and say, guys, please fasten your belt. We are hitting turbulence. We cannot guarantee anything. Probably we may crash land. You see, at that moment, you see people trying to whisper some stuff. You see some people trying to do some small introspection. You see some people trying to appeal to a higher power and say, oh, dear God, please help us to land safe. Now, that higher power, that thing they're appealing to, that is what I call God. Of course, it's not lost on me that some of these people, they are deep into witchcraft and probably they will be whispering to their dead ancestors and some other deities. But you see, now that's even proof enough. If you believe that you can whisper to your dead ancestor and your ancestor is going to hear you, if you believe that you can whisper to some stone in your village and your stone in the village is going to hear you, why is it not easier to believe that there's a God who created all those stones, who created you, who's the master of the universe? So that's what I'm saying. If you have to succeed, put God first. I will say that again. Put God first, and everything will be well with you. Thank you so much for watching today's program. Thank you so much for being with me on Winning Money program. Let's engage. Go to our comment section. Let me know what you think about the program. Let me know about the topics you wish us to discuss. In fact, if you want to engage us, you can just go and send us an email. I believe on our channel, our email is there. If you need the mentorship or probably just want to engage on any topic or on any subject, let us know, because we are here to build this family, to build this community. We will see you in the next video. Thank you and bye-bye.